Burnout doesn't happen because you work too hard. It happens because your brain can't shut off. You don't burn out from effort. You burn out from constant activation. And by the time you feel exhausted, the system has already failed. Most explanations of burnout focus on symptoms: fatigue, stress, low motivation, emotional exhaustion. They sound accurate, but they explain nothing. They describe what burnout feels like, not why it happens. And when you don't understand the mechanism, you turn inward. You assume the problem is you. Weak willpower, poor discipline, lack of resilience. But burnout doesn't care about character. Burnout happens when a stress regulation system is forced to operate without recovery for longer than it was designed to. Your brain is not a machine built for output. It's a biological regulator built for survival. And survival systems don't fail loudly. They shut things down quietly to prevent permanent damage. The wrong question is, why am I so tired? The right question is, why does my brain refuse to disengage? Because burnout is not about low energy. It's about misallocated energy. Your system is burning fuel just to stay alert, even when nothing urgent is happening. Your nervous system evolved for contrast. Stress, then relief. Threat, then safety. Effort, then recovery. Modern life removes the recovery phase. Deadlines extend into evenings. Notifications erase boundaries. Rest becomes something you schedule instead of something that happens naturally. So the brain never fully powers down. Not panicked, not relaxed, just slightly activated all the time. This low-grade alert state is far more damaging than short bursts of pressure, because the brain never receives the signal, it's safe now. And without that signal, recovery does not begin. Cortisol is not the enemy. It's an emergency hormone. It mobilizes energy, sharpens focus, keeps you alive under pressure. Short term, it makes you effective. Long term, it erodes the system. When cortisol stays elevated, sleep becomes shallow, emotional range narrows, memory becomes rigid. But the most important effect is this: the brain recalibrates. What once felt stressful becomes normal. So you don't feel anxious, you feel flat. This isn't calm. This is adaptation. And adaptation always has a cost. Burnout is not just a stress problem. It's a dopamine problem. Dopamine does not create pleasure. It creates drive. It's what makes effort feel worth it. But dopamine systems adapt quickly. Modern environments trigger dopamine constantly. Notifications, metrics, progress indicators, micro rewards. Over time, the system downregulates. What once felt motivating now barely registers. This is dopamine debt. You don't lack ambition. Your brain has learned that effort no longer predicts reward. so it stops investing. That withdrawal feels like burnout. In a constant alert state, the brain treats everything as important. Nothing gets filtered out. Every message, every task, every small choice requires conscious effort. This drains cognitive energy fast, not because tasks are difficult, but because they're unprioritized. Decision fatigue sets in. You don't avoid tasks because you don't care. You avoid them because your system cannot justify the cost. This is why procrastination increases, not as a flaw, as protection. Before a system collapses, it limits exposure. Emotions flatten. Urgency fades. Excitement dulls. People describe it as, I feel empty. I don't care anymore. I'm just going through the motions. This numbness is not depression. It's sensory reduction. When escape isn't possible, the brain reduces perception. Feeling less is safer than feeling everything. This is not giving up. This is the system buying time. Burnout rarely looks dramatic. You're still functioning, still showing up, still doing what's required. But internally, motivation is gone. Focus is fragile. Rest doesn't restore. You delay things you actually want to do. Simple decisions feel heavy. You're busy, but disconnected. This is not laziness. This is what happens when a system refuses further load. Procrastination is not the opposite of discipline. It's the early warning signal. It's the first leak in the system. Burnout is what happens when that signal is ignored. Same mechanism, different stage. What begins as delay ends as shutdown. Burnout is not exhaustion. It's system failure. Not because the system is weak, but because it operated too long without regulation. Once you understand this, the story changes. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking the only useful question. What has my brain been trying to protect me from this entire time?